Hello. Welcome to another season 4, Cantinho Benfiquista podcast, episode 144. We are back for another one off a much needed title, finally, after 3 years. With me, the same crew as always. We're missing one element of our crew. I got Oscar, I got Bill, I got Kenny. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Happy to be back,
hey,
boys.
Absolutely.
Let's make it
Ready
another
for another
great year.
season.
A lot has happened since we last met. We've been here since Kenny got married. This is his first appearance since marriage, right? Yep.
I think so, yeah.
How have things changed for you? All the same?
A lot of the same stuff. Just it's been a couple of busy months, but things are good. Settle down.
Good. I was gonna say you have to say it not too loud. Taylor's
Yeah.
gonna hear
You. He looked over his shoulder.
He looked over his shoulder. Yeah.
He was like, "Wait, is she here?"
I have to say something nice.
Everything's
good. Good to hear. Before we get started, just quickly go through some things. Again, season 4, we'll have some changes that we're going to run through here. New intro video. I didn't get a chance to finish it, but that'll be up soon. I'm looking at potentially changing kind of the layout. We currently use StreamYard, looking to potentially switch to OBS, give us a little bit more functionality, a little bit more features and stuff, but still testing and playing around with that. So look out for that. Also, just to mention social media presence, we're at 34,941 on Facebook. So we're nearing 35K on Facebook. So those of you tuning in now live or after the fact, give us a follow, hit that like button, share the stream. If you're watching on YouTube, our next goal is 1,000. We're at 622. So subscribe, hit that bell button, hit the like for this video. And Twitter, we're climbing fast, which is impressive. We're at 2,421, which is great. And Instagram, slow and steady. We're at 816. So Instagram and YouTube, our target is to hit 1,000 soon. But overall, we're nearing almost 40,000, which is impressive for just a bunch of idiots who share their thoughts on the internet about Benfica. So who would have thought that we had so much interest in us? But again, if you're tuning in, like, share, subscribe, follow. It takes you about 5 seconds and we don't get anything with it, but just try to reach and cast that net a little bit wider. In the comments, we got our buddy Jason, who is just enjoying some vacation time on the islands in the Azores. So, hopefully you're enjoying your vacation. Neil says, "Hey guys, great to have another season. Look forward to it." Welcome back, Neil. Thanks for tuning in. Sergio says, "Isto é incrível, podcast de Benfica em inglês." É verdade, é em inglês. Nós também temos aqui um podcast em português com um painel diferente, mas estás à vontade de participar aqui nesta nossa conversa. Todos falamos português, todos percebemos português, por isso estás à vontade. E um abraço desde já e obrigado por participares aqui neste nosso cantinho. To kick things off, as I said, Jason's on vacation, but he was unable to make it to, this podcast. He unfortunately had an injury, and I wanted to share the video so everyone understands what happened. He unfortunately had according to the medical staff, he's out for a couple of weeks, but,
full recovery expected though.
In the nature of the podcasts, we are here to have fun and have a good laugh. So Jason sent us the video of the footage and he asked us to share it with, our followers and subscribers because it's a very unfortunate injury, but here it is for you guys so you could tune in. He was working out
on vacation,
malfunctioning machine and split. I want to see this again just to make sure. His dad in the background is just cruising, right? Like a well-oiled machine. And so
that's a red card. I don't know about you guys. That's a red card.
100%. Unbelievable.
So he's out for 4 months.
Yeah, he's out for a couple of weeks. Hopefully he makes a speedy recovery, but it's good that we can get a good laugh. And he didn't actually get injured, but in the nature of the podcast and kind of the climate that we have within our group, we figured it was best to kick off season 4 with a little bit of a blooper from one of us. So thank you for the laugh and speedy recovery. And he says, I'm glad you owned. You did. So thank you for that. Preseason 2023-24 is off to a running start. We've played 4 preseason matches. Tomorrow we play Burnley, which is probably going to be our toughest preseason match of all. We've had a lot of arrivals. We've had a lot of departures. There's a lot to cover here. Does it make sense for us to start with the preseason games, or do we want to talk about the arrivals first? What do you guys think?
I think the rivals leading on to the preseason.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Chic Marcelino, abraço. Chic Marcelino, good vibes. That was good vibes. Jason right there was good vibes. And those of you tuning in, please make sure that you send us your comments, your chat messages, feedback, thoughts, opinions. Facebook and YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, unfortunately, Twitter doesn't allow for comments, so jump over to one of the other platforms. But as always, engage in the conversation. We appreciate your feedback, your comments, and make it interactive here. So, arrivals. Let me bring this up here on the screen for you guys. Let me remove Jason's injury here from the screen. All right, we got. All right, let's see if we got this here. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. All right, can we see this?
Not really.
Hold on. Well, now.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So we got total net. We've got 9.68 incoming, expenditure 39 million. We're at an overall balance of minus 29 million for now. We've had some interesting arrivals, to say the least. Starting at the top here, we've got Kokshu, which probably no one expected, to be honest with you. Once we had looked at the fee that we were looking at, 25 million. We've already paid it before for Darwin Nunez, but again, figures like this aren't something common in the Portuguese league, right? So definitely threw us off guard. We got Jurasek from Slavia Prague, left back. Angelito has returned on a free transfer. We'll get into that. Weigl came back from loan. João Vitor came back from loan to Araújo. Gabriel Pires, Enrique Araújo came back, but he left. Sef left. Maite back and staying so far. Gouveia still there. Dantas just went to AZ Alkmaar. Paulo Bernardo still hasn't sorted his future out, and Sandro Cruz ended up leaving. So let's just focus on the ones that are new, right? So Kokshu, Jurasek, Di Maria, and that's it. Kenny, I'll start with you. Thoughts on this transfer window, specifically on the incomings? Are you surprised, as I am, and maybe many others, in terms of Benfica's pull in the transfer market this season?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, the big one is Di Maria, right? He had a lot of different options, and for him to come back to Benfica is huge. I think overall, it gives us a lot of depth in a position maybe last year that maybe we didn't have as much depth, or we were at least had some injury issues. So, I mean, those three are, in my opinion, really good signings from early indications of at least Jurasek as well, right? From what we've seen, I think they're really good signings, and of course, 2 big names with Kokshu and Di Maria.
Oscar, thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know we spent a lot of money. Kokshu was a definite player that we needed for the midfield. You know, the number 8 that replaced Enzo Fernandez, and I think that's a guy that fits him perfectly. And that box to box type of guy, you know, has an offensive type of player with some defense in him. I think Jurasek we needed just because Grimaldo left, so it's and gives and because of Grimaldo leaving, opens up a little fight between Rex. What's his name? Resic. And yeah, because they actually been playing really, really well this preseason, which I'm enjoying watching those two fight for the position. And Angel Di Maria, man, with last year we got Gonzalez Guedes to come in and kind of give us some depth. We had Draxler, so both of those guys were very fragile and hurt a lot of the time. Di Maria, like I hope if he stays fit, because will be our best winger, like hands down. Hopefully he doesn't have any injuries this year, because if he stays fit, man, that's basically exactly what we needed for this team. So three big signings, three huge signings, and if they stay healthy and we allocate a lot of these guys that came back from loan, we're in good shape.
Bill, before I pass it to you, I'm gonna pass it to you, but I'm gonna start it with a question, or I guess a debate that Kenny or Oscar and Jay have had in our chat, which is, right, the uncertainty of Di Maria, right? And he started off flying, right? He's 35 years old. He's got tons of finesse in his feet, right? He's not a north to south player in terms of, speed getting up the line, right? He's a more finesse. He picks and chooses his battles. He's had some injuries over the course of the last couple of years, naturally, with his age. Do you see it as an issue or as much of a concern as maybe Jay or Oscar? I can't remember who's on what side of the argument. I think Oscar was concerned and Jay was maybe less concerned. Do you see it that way, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I think it gets more concerning if we end up selling a Neres or a João Mario, or like if we lose another option or a Freddie, like someone else that could potentially fill in if Di Maria is to go down, right? If we're relying on him to be like João Mario was last year, right? Like playing 98% of the games. Like I don't think we can go into the season expecting Di Maria to play that many games, right? Like eventually, given his age, like something, he's gonna have a tweak, he's gonna have a knock. Hopefully, it's nothing serious, but
or fatigue,
right? Like it's just gonna happen, especially with his age. And I think with the depth as of right now, the way the squad is set up, with the depth we have with options, I think Roger's gonna have the ability to be able to pick and choose like certain games where you can potentially rest Di Maria or have him play but not play 90, right? And hopefully save his legs for the end of the season and kind of limit the potential for a long-term injury.
I'll pass it to Oscar and Kenny to share their thoughts on it. But just quickly, Bill, anything you would add in terms of what Oscar and Kenny mentioned in terms of the arrivals?
No, I mean, again, this is something we did last year where we did our work early. Like we didn't wait to the end of the transfer market. Like we have our needs. We knew what we wanted to go out and get, and Rui Pedro Vaz, Rui Costa, like they went to work and they went out and got either their top target for those positions, or it looks like in Juricic potentially the second option, because I can't even remember the guy's name who ended up supposedly going to Lazio and then now has ended up at Bournemouth. He seemed
Cartquez.
Yeah, he seemed like the top choice, but that whole thing looked like a freaking debacle, and I'm kind of glad that Benfica didn't get pulled into a dragged out transfer window with him. But from what we've seen, they've done their work early and they've gotten the squad and the players they want in, and give Roger the time to work with the players that he gets in and get them adapted to the team. And I mean, Koksu looks like he has fit in like a glove, and Juricic, from what we've seen so far, is fitting in pretty well as well. And Di Maria, I mean, coming home, right?
Juricic already left Benfica.
Man, they do all the same shit.
Before I ask you that same question, Kenny and Oscar, I just want to keep this interactive and keep the people's comments coming in. So I'm going to jump on Jay's first. Koksu to me starts most games. Who's the best partner in the midfield with him from what you've seen, Kenny?
Oh, man. I mean, Tino seems to be, I don't know, like Tino had a really good season last year, but I don't know if you're too defensive with both of them on the field. I don't know. I would think like maybe I would say Tino is probably what will end up happening.
Okay, Oscar, you agree?
I think in the squad we have now allows us to choose what basically squad fits which game, and I think Tino for the given, like if you're playing a Porto, Sporting, a tougher game, Champions League, I think Tino is the obvious choice. But I could see Neves playing. I could see Chiquinho playing on a game that's like playing Santa Clara or Chaves or stuff like that. So, and I see them like basically changing a lot of the midfield. Coxu, like people said, is almost like a guaranteed starter. But the other guys I can see rotating depending on what game we play.
Okay, Bill, agree?
Yeah, I agree, and I think tomorrow's game will be telling because it's going to be our toughest opponent, right? Premier League aside, and I think the lineup we see tomorrow could potentially be the lineup we see for the Supertaça game, right? And I think games like that where you're going to need a little more grit in the midfield, we will probably see Tino, like Oscar said, and then games where we're playing a team where we're going to have the ball 90% of the time, then you're going to see, I think, Chiquinho and Neves come in because they're going to give you more creativity than Tino does. He's like a trinco, right? Old school, break it up, get the ball and get rid of it. Whereas Neves and Chiquinho are going to a little more creative with the ball.
Fair. Thank you, Jay, for that question. I'm going to hold off on your other question, Jay, for a little bit later. But just a reminder, I see a lot of people jumping in here. Para a malta que esteja a ver em português, hoje é o nosso podcast em inglês, mas estejam à vontade de participar aqui nesta nossa conversa. Podem deixar os vossos comentários na caixa de comentários, em inglês ou em português, como queiram. Todos percebemos português, todos falamos português, por isso esteja à vontade de participar aqui nesta nossa conversa e bem-vindos. E desde já, não se esqueçam de dar um like e partilharem este nosso direto. For those of you in English, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to this video. Here's a controversial one. First, I want to say hi to Tiago. Boa noite, Tiago. Bom regresso. Obrigado por participares aqui neste nosso cantinho outra vez. Chico says, in my opinion, we have a weaker 11 than last year, but a better squad overall. The 11 is weaker because Grimaldo is better than Jurasek and Enzo is better than Kokshu. The only improvement in the 11 is Di Maria is better than Neres. Who wants to jump on this one first?
I mean,
do you agree?
I think with like Jurasek and Koksu, I think it's too early to tell, right?
Dude. For this. Jurasek.
Jurasek.
There you go.
I think
what's his first name?
David.
David, yeah.
David. If I said David.
Yeah, David.
We don't have a David.
We do, and Neres.
Oh, that shit. Never mind.
I think it might be too early to tell, right? Like, we've only seen a few preseason games. Like, yeah, Enzo came in flying. Koksu, from what I've seen, like...
But Enzo was also in mid-season form.
Right, exactly. Like, yeah. And Koksu's fit in well. Like, I think we got to give these guys time. I would say we probably have a more complete squad. I mean, that depth. I do agree with. I think we have a lot more depth than we did last year, especially... I mean, all over the field, like center backs, we're littered with center backs right now. And then same thing with wingers, like up top. We have more depth across the board than we did last year. But I think to say that those two signings are weaker than Enzo and Grimaldo, I think it's way too early to tell.
Oscar,
I think from what I saw in Coxu so far. It reminds me a lot of Enzo, and Enzo, like Mikey said, came mid-season, came on his prime, right? We saw Enzo in Chelsea at the end of the season, and he looked like a shadow of what he looked at Benfica. Like, he was not the same player because obviously fatigue kicks in. So,
but it's also telling of the environment he was in as well.
The squad as well, yeah.
And that's fine. So, but it's right now for us to say Coxu is worse than Enzo. Before Enzo came to Benfica, we had high hopes for him, but nobody knew how good he really was. Right. So why not give Coxu a chance to prove himself just like we did to Enzo? And when it comes to Jurasek, right, Grimaldo sucked for 3-4 seasons, right? And Jurasek just came in, and I don't see any bad play in him. I see him being very good defensively, and I see him going up and scoring goals and attacking as well, just like Grimaldo did in this prime season. So I think it's way too early to tell if these guys are worse or better, but I don't think we got weaker on our 11. I think right now, if our 11 looks probably as good as our 11 last year when Enzo and Grimaldo were in there.
Kenny, you agree with him?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely too early to tell. I mean, from all we can judge it by are these preseason games, and right now we look like we were in the same rhythm like we were at the beginning of last preseason, right? So it has to do with the chemistry, the attitudes of the players. I mean, Koksu in the interviews he's given, right? He's kind of like all in on being here and the teammates and all that. So hopefully he's not another Enzo, but I mean, if we get a full season out of him, I think it's already an improvement from last year, right? We don't have to worry about that mid-season. So I do have a concern, though. I have a concern with, I don't think this is the final roster. I personally think that there's still going to be someone, maybe two guys leaving. And if so, then
from the major guys, you think?
From the major guys. And then I think we have some concern. I'm not sold offensively with our forwards. I'm still not a Musa guy. So if Gonzalo, the rumors about Ramos, potentially PSG looking into him, I know that we're trying to hold on to these guys, right? But money talks. And at some point, if the right offer comes along, well, now you just have Musa and the two Nordic kids. That's a concern. Or one, right? The other one's a winger. So that would be a major concern, because I don't know if you're going to run out of time to be able to sign someone. So I said last year, and I've said it in our chat, that I wanted to sign, and I wanted to sign at least one, if not two more forwards. We haven't signed anyone. So for me, I'm comfortable with Ramos. I've been sold on Ramos, but he's definitely the next target in departures, and I don't think we have a suitable replacement for him.
And that leads me to the next question, and I'll start with you, Kenny. Is right, we've done our business pretty early, but we know, unfortunately, a lot of clubs wait till the 11th hour to make some transfer dealings and last minute offers and kind of put you on the hot seat, right? And so my question to you, one, I'm going to basically make this two questions. So one is, if there's anyone in the squad today that you could see being one of those 11th hour departures, and two, Neil says here, is the squad complete? Does Benfica need any more signings? So kind of like combine those two. I'll start with you, Kenny.
Yeah, I think for me, it's what I just mentioned, right? I think Ramos is the high target. I don't know, the rumors with Mbappe leaving as well, potentially, right? The offer he could potentially be getting. I mean, if they get an influx of money, who's to say they don't come after Ramos like they? I mean, it could all be smoke in our pipe, right? I don't know if it's all transfer talk bullshit, but Ramos seems to be the one that's on the target list. And for me, if he leaves, I think that's a big loss, because I don't know how you're going to fill that in.
Fair. Anyone else do you see being a 11th hour departure?
I mean, I think, I talked about in our chat, but I've kind of moved on this. I think we have a lot of wingers, but I think you need that. But it's also hard. Who's going to sit, right? Is Ned's going to want to sit, or you're not going to sit Di Maria? Rafa can't be a bench player. I know that we want to talk about, hey, it's good, we can rotate the guys, but are these guys going to mentally be okay with that? Ned has shown us last year at the end of the season he wasn't satisfied coming off the bench. Rafa can get in his mood swings too. He has trust issues. So, I mean, the guy has it tattooed on his fucking stomach.
His throat, I think. His stomach.
Yeah. So, I mean, someone's going to have to ride the bench, right? So are they going to be okay with that? Are they going to be all in with that messaging? That's a concern.
Okay. Oscar, who do you see departing, if anyone? And do you think we need anyone else from what we have today?
I think, all right, so departing, like Kenny said, I think Ramos is, to me, the only real threat.
You don't think Neres is? There's a lot of heat on. I mean, Zenit has offered apparently like 20 million for him, 25 million, but Benfica said no. And I don't know if, and again, no disrespect to anyone, if there's anyone Russian that's watching, like, I don't know if Ned's in the current state of everything that's going on in that part of the world, if he would even want to go there. But I know Zenit just sold Malcolm to, I think he went to Al Hilal.
Yeah.
And now they're looking to replace him. But
I had seen Neres. I saw today that Neres said that he didn't want to go to Russia.
Yeah. But like, again, like if there's someone that comes in, and again, sorry to interrupt you, Esther, but if someone like Neres, and I think Kenny had talked about, like, of all the players that we have that can play outside, I think that if there's one player that Roger would be okay with letting go for the right price, I think it would be Neres.
I agree.
Of everyone. But again, back to what were you saying, Oscar?
I think, all right, Ramos, for the obvious reasons, I think if somebody comes in with a lot of money, and we can't hold them, right? That's the only way I see Gonçalo Ramos leaving, is if we legit a proposta that we cannot say no to. I think Rui Costa will try to hold him just like he did Enzo, try to hold him as much as he can. But obviously money talks, and if they come back with some kind of crazy money, he'll probably go. So that's a scare for me, because Musa will be our only backup that I trust, which I trust. I come to the point that I actually trust Musa, but not as a guy that can take us to score 30 goals in the season. But I trust him to be a good backup. When it comes to anybody else, I think with the whole soap opera with Rafa asking for a lot of money, but he's right now, Rui Costa probably had a conversation with him, according to Rui Costa, and he decided that he's a fix. He's staying, and I don't think there's going to be any issues or any turnarounds from that. Do I see the issues being with the rotating? I think Gonçalo Guedes is probably most likely out for the next 3-4 months, probably until January.
And he's not, and we haven't confirmed him as staying yet.
Right. I thought we did. They said
there's nothing. I haven't seen anything formal yet.
I know. So we have for the wings, and Rafa is actually a striker / number 9, 8, 10 player that's behind the striker. So he's not even a winger, at least for Roger Schmidt. So we have João Mário, Neres, Di Maria, and that Sherloop guy. That's our 4 wingers that actually have been playing winger.
Sherloop.
What's his name?
Sheldrup.
Just call him Andreas.
That's why I have a.
For those of you watching and listening, we should name this podcast "Hooked on Phonics."
No, that's why I don't want strangers coming to my fucking club,
because you can't pronounce
fucking reason. All right.
That's why Jorge Jesus didn't want Portuguese people, because he couldn't speak Portuguese.
So he goes to Saudi Arabia, right, and could pronounce those guys.
Yeah, and he said in his presentation, "I speak
Portuguese now." Yeah.
And then what else we need I think we need a backup for Audi, a guy that can compete with Audi, because if he goes down or something happens with him, I think we don't have a solid backup. And other than that, man, I think, do I trust João Vitor as a backup for Ba? I don't know. I thought I could. Yeah. I think I would trust Gilberto a little bit more than João Vitor in that as a backup.
Yeah, I think that Sheik Marcelino mentioned it here too, right? We need a right back to compete with Ban, and I agree. I think that if anyone leaves for a decent amount of money, I think we'll potentially go look at a right back. Right, it sounds like the plan right now is João Vitor. He's fast as hell. I mean, You guys watch these past couple games. I mean, the guy's like a motorcycle up and down, right? But like, he doesn't have the feet that Abba has or Grimaldo has, right? Because that's just not the nature of his play. I think he's more, you can tell even with his passing and runs that he's very cautious. Like, I want to play the safe pass. I don't want to risk it. So is he an adequate backup? In my eyes, yes, from a rotation perspective. Now, is he an adequate backup if Ba goes down and we need him to start, day in and day out? Then I think it gets a little bit tricky, because it completely changes our dynamic of how we play on that right side, in my opinion. I'm not a coach, but that's just my opinion. Whereas having him as a backup for the Taça Liga games or some Taça de Portugal games, or to come in, in the second half, right? But like to start
and hold the result or something.
Correct, yeah. But to start week in and week out, I think it's a tricky scenario because he's just very different from the mold that we see Ba in, or Jurasek, or even Ristich. He's a very completely different player, but I think.
Can I
yeah, go ahead.
Can I add something? So I'm kind of surprised, right? And this is kind of going back to the topic around the youth, right? The youth system. I'm surprised that we don't have a decent right backup to fill that spot, because I think right back should be, and we've had luck with him, right? I mean, all the way from let's go back.
We haven't really.
Well,
we haven't had luck in a while.
Nelson
Smith was the last one.
We had Cancelo, like all these guys.
Yeah, but that's like many. Nelson Smith was the last one.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is like we have a history of it, but we like went away from it. We went away from it, and I mean Tavares didn't help, but that experiment was a fail. But I feel like we have a history. Like I just feel like that position should be an easy like youth kid system that can fill a backup.
I mean, Sandro Cruz, the kid that just went to Shabs, right? He was a promising player. I mean, he's a tank. Like if I watched him a variety of times on the B team, getting up and down that line, right? But it's just like it's a completely different level, right? And I agree with you, right? Like the likelihood of not being able to go pull a right back, an adequate right back or a left back to be able to sit on the bench and be an alternate. But then we also saw that situation where I think it was 2 seasons ago when JJ was here with that young right back kid, João Ferreira maybe, which we sold. I remember he played
Pereira.
No, Ferreira, I think was his name. João Ferreira maybe. Someone correct me in the chat, but we sold him to someone in the Portuguese league, and he played a Champions League game or Europa League game, and it was the game that Vertonghen was the captain against Anderlecht in Belgium. He started, and he was an outside back. So again, the likelihood that we're not able to pull someone up, but again, like, are they ready for that level? João Ferreira, Salta Guimarães, thank you, Jay. Right, and like he was a young, promising player on the B team, right, and he just never gelled, and he doesn't even play at Guimarães, right? So I think it's just telling that, it's tough.
Yeah, it just seems like that. Like it's better to adapt a player at right back than finding a youth player to fill in the midfield, right? Like in the midfield, I don't want to take that chance, but as a right back, I mean, Gilberto wasn't the cleanest player, but
we always have Freddie.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
security blanket.
I hate the adaptation, right? I don't even like the adaptation of Thiago or João Vitor adapting to a right back. Like, I don't like that. Like, let these guys play what they're comfortable with. I know sometimes you have to, but to me, like I said, the right back position, I feel like you should be able to plug someone from the youth system. But it is what it is. I haven't seen any talks of anyone. I don't know who was even,
There was a mention of a kid from, I want to say Slavia Prague as well, a right back that rumors was that we were looking at. But again, I don't think, I'd be surprised if anything happens unless we sell someone. And Neil mentions Pereira.
That's the guy I was talking about.
That went to Italy.
Yeah, he came from Roma, someplace.
Yeah. But another kid that was like supposed to be a hot prospect, and he's just floating around. Like you don't even hear anyone talk about him. Jay mentioned there's a right back from Flamengo. Yeah, I've seen that name too thrown around. I can't remember what his name is, but again, there's going to be a lot of names out there. But I agree. I think there's a question mark on that right back spot. More so if Ba goes down. If Ba stays healthy, I think João Vitor is an adequate sub, but not for a regular starter, in my view.
Yeah.
Bill, quickly, any last-minute departures that you see, and do you think we're missing anything?
No, and I agree with what we touched on. I think for departures, I think Ramo is the big one, right? Like these guys have talked about the depth that we have up top. Looks all right with Ramos as our starter, but if Ramos is gone, then we have Musa, which I think at the end of last year I mentioned, I don't know if he's the type of player that can be your dirty goal scorer. And then, I mean, was it Casper? Like we haven't seen fucking anything from him in any games that he's played. Like I don't see what made us go buy him last January for was it like 10? I think it was 10 mil. Like I just can't see it. Yeah, we haven't seen anything like.
He had that heel kick that almost went in.
I mean, the one little throw your leg.
That was nice.
That would have changed everyone's perspective on him if that ball goes in.
Oh yeah,
I think so. I think it'd be the highlight. Be like, oh boy, we got something here.
Can I predict something? If Ramos leaves, you'll be another Nelson Oliveira.
Oh, that's a hot take right there. I'm gonna have to snip that part out.
If he leaves now at this age, you'll be another Nelson Oliveira. Mark my words. He'll be going to a top team where he's gonna get benched and then start floating around.
All right, those of you in the chat, let him have it.
Mark it.
Let us know if you agree with Oscar's take.
Make note of it.
37 minutes.
Wait, we were saying the same exact thing about Nelson Oliveira when he was in 2010.
Not we. Jay was.
Jason, and that's why Jason is saying stop it now.
Jay said for you to go sleep.
Yeah.
Nelson Oliveira never had a season like Ramos did.
Nelson Oliveira was him plus. Nelson Oliveira was him plus 10 on the World Cup 2010. That's
against Brazil in that final. Yeah.
Legit. Everybody was Nelson Oliveira's the new.
And then go look at that starting 11 on both sides and go look who made it and who didn't. Almost all of Brazil's players are studs now. Portugal's, don't even hear about any of them. Let me quickly just run through some of these comments. Alex says, in my opinion, we can't sell Ramos before the Supertaça. It's a big risk to sell such an important player just before a big game. I agree. I would be very surprised if Benfica makes a move for him before that. Even if there was an offer that came in, I would assume that they would hold off until the end of the Supertaça to at least not disrupt anything heading into that. Neil says someone will trigger the 80 million clause for Ramos. He's young, talented, scores goals, Portugal starter. He's not a Portugal starter until Cristiano Ronaldo decides he wants to be a Portugal starter, but that's nor here nor there. Roger, I'm sure he'll find a suitable backup. Musa becomes our main striker. Again, is Musa ready to be our main striker? And I would hope that the team or the staff knows that there's interest in Ramos to the point where, all right, we've earmarked 2 or 3 targets, right? Like if this happens, then that triggers, right? I'm hopeful that that's the case. I think we have to have faith that the way they've done business up until now would lead you down the path to think that that's what's happening. So hopefully that's what they're working on. Yeah, Jean Felix. That was on my list of get your thoughts on before we close this out. I just want to bring up this comment one more time because it made me laugh. That shut up guy. Shut up. Nets to Russia. No thanks. That's career suicide right now, considering Russia is in turmoil. Fair. Nick, welcome back, Nick. What's up, dudes? I'm ready for the season to get here already. Can't wait to see the team next week in and week out. João Vitor's probably even faster than Rafa. I would like to see him at center back. He's super fast. Like it's wild how fast he is. But yeah, I don't know how much time he's going to have at center back. We have, a large quantity of center backs. I know that Lucas Veríssimo went on loan today to Corinthians, but we still have 4. And that was another question I meant to ask you guys. Do you guys not see, no one mentioned him, do you not see Morato as being a potential 11th hour departure with Fulham's persistence in taking him?
Well, for me, I mean, we've rejected it, like 4 times now. So I feel like we're holding ground. I don't think they're.
Yeah, but they offered 25 million is the rumor. But do you think that if someone comes in for anywhere between 30 and 40, that Benfica is not going to open their hand?
I just don't see that offer coming.
Wait, did you say Lucas Veríssimo just got loaned?
Yeah, to Corinthians.
So with him leaving, I think Rui Costa is going to put his foot down and won't let Morato go.
But what I'm saying is if the right price comes in, right? Like I know that first of all, Morato is going to be the starter for the Supertaça with Tony because Otamendi's not ready and he hasn't played any preseason games, right? So it makes sense that they're going to start. And naturally, he's the number 3rd in the totem pole with the expectation that Otamendi plays with Tony again. I think that drives the importance of Benfica dragging their feet, right? Like we're not going to sell unless something really comes in that makes us want to sell. But do you guys think that 11th hour Fulham can't get anyone else, right? They have money to spend, right? And I think they're just playing, low ball shit right now, right? Like, let's see what they say. Throw us out there, see what. But if they really want him, they could easily come in with 30, 40 million offer before the end of the transfer window. Would you sell for that price? Or no, given the importance that he has in the squad?
I wouldn't sell for that price.
Well,
but
To me, the 11th hour, no. If they came back, if they came right now, August 1st, and say, here's 30 million, 40 million, let them come. Right there, I say yes. And then it gives us a month to go find a good replacement for him. But at the 11th hour, it's a no, hard no.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Because then you're essentially caught with, I mean, your pants down, right? Then you're relying on Tom Araujo, right, to then be a third option. And then, like, if you were going to rely on a kid, I mean, it happened with Tony, so we could strike oil again. Fucking who knows? But like,
yeah, it doesn't happen often.
Right? You don't want to play your odds. Like, you don't want to play that game, right?
Just to think that somebody came in with 100 and something million for Enzo, what we had for 6 months, and we still said no until they broke the clause.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a sign of what Ricos is all about. I don't think he'll say yes to anything on the 11th hour.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I agree.
What's his clause?
100 million, I think.
Is it that high?
Rocky?
I think.
Phil, I'm gonna look it up while I run through some of these other comments. Nick says, "Do you think we can use Ristich as an emergency right back? If it comes down to that, then we definitely need to buy another right back, in my opinion. Could you see him playing there? In a desperation mode?
I see Freddie playing there.
I think the backup will really be Freddie. I don't think I ever seen him use his right foot
to stand on.
Yeah, like I don't know if he has a right foot for him to cross.
He's one of those straight out lefties.
Yeah,
like just bang the ball in.
Yeah, a nice freaking hard kick, nice crosses. That he's got that, but I don't think I actually never seen him shoot or cross with his right foot.
Yep. Neil says Ristich is okay for the Liga, but not UEFA. Do you guys agree with that? And if you agree with that, then we would have to agree that in what we know so far, then Jurasek is also not cut out for UEFA because we haven't seen much of him, and he's still pretty raw. So do you guys agree that on the left-hand side we're lacking some UEFA caliber, Champions League caliber players at the left back position?
I don't know. I think we're being a little harsh on these guys. Like Grimaldo wasn't like this. He was a good player, but he wasn't this like specimen of a.
He wasn't Roberto Carlos.
Yeah, so
he was this last season.
Well,
he played well. Yeah,
his best season.
He had a career year, I would say. Right. But like that, how long was he on the team too? Like he had a lot of up and down. He wasn't like a complete like stud. So I say like give these guys some time. Like Ristich for me has a lot of the same qualities, like same type of build, maybe a little bit bigger than Grimaldo. Hell of a left foot. Jurasek is a much bigger player, but I say we give these guys some time. Like it's not, Grimaldo's going to be missed, I think, but I think we'll get over it. Midway through the season, we're going to be like Grimaldo.
To be honest with you guys, I think if Grimaldo didn't have the season that he had this past season, I could see Ristich competing with fucking guy.
Call him Mihailo.
I could see him competing with Grimaldo if it was an average season like that Grimaldo had in the past, right? I could see him competing with Grimaldo. Grimaldo just had a subpar season this last season that he had at Benfica, but to me, before the years before, he wasn't like anything like you guys are saying. Not Roberto Carlos, not even close.
Sorry, Bill, did you find out the release clause?
Yeah, 100 million euros.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't see anyone hitting 100
million.
Yeah,
nobody. And Ricos is somebody,
he's 22. Like he's like it seems like he's so much older.
22?
We bought him so long ago. He's 22.
Damn, I thought he was older than that.
Yeah, 22. His birthday is
June 30th.
Dude, June 30th, 2001.
Shit, dude. Wow. I thought he was like 24, 25. Damn.
He's been at Benfica so long, and we bought him. I mean, we paid a hefty price for him.
7 million.
We paid a hefty,
right?
Yeah.
I think it was 7 million.
7.6
from São Paulo.
7.6. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we paid a hefty price for him. So he's still young.
I mean, no one's hitting that 100 mil, but I mean, if an offer comes in at 80, then I think you got to start thinking about it.
Not at the 11th hour. I don't think Ricos is selling at the 11th hour.
So for 80 million? 80 million.
What are you gonna do? Like if we don't have a good backup,
dude, I kind of agree with Oscar on this, right? Like, Rui so far it seems like he's putting the project, the team ahead of the money, right? Like just selling play. Like Luis Fieta would sell him, take the money and run, right? Like, Rui Costa has shown that he's putting the project and winning titles and making the fans dream about potentially winning another fucking Champions League ahead of filling the bank accounts, right? Like, for him to say no to Chelsea for 130 for whatever it was 120 until they finally broke the clause at the end, like Oscar said, like I think that's pretty clear that Rui isn't gonna
and he says
the money
that
and run.
He says it like straight up to the media. He goes, "There's a clause. If they beat the clause, it's out of our hands." So for him to say there's a clause and if they beat the clause, it's out of our hands, and then sell him for like 20 million less, that's going back on his word. I don't think he'll do it.
There's also another aspect though. The player can make a big fuss about it. I mean, hey,
he could.
I mean, we saw it happen in January.
Yeah. I mean, he could, but I think again, it comes to the clause. If Enzo decided to go after they beat the clause,
correct. But I think what Kenny's saying is we can end up running into a similar situation, right, where Morato knows that if Otamendi's fit, and unless Tony has, or as Joaninha asked us to say, as Ton. If Ton gets injured, then maybe Morato has his chance back in, right? But I don't see Morato getting another chance if one of them doesn't get hurt. Do you see him wanting, right, like EPL, right? I got a chance to go to the EPL. I think the offer was like his salary 4 times what he's making at Benfica.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do you see that potential? And rumors have it that he asked to leave, right? Whether that's true or not, I think that's Jamidi just trying to create a circus per usual, but right, like I think it's very plausible that we could potentially see a similar situation that we saw in January. I hope that's not the case, though.
I have a question. Otamendi renewed, right? What did he renew for? 2 years,
2
a
years?
year?
2 years. 2 more years.
But
I think the second year is more for him to kind of be a leader,
phase out,
a leader in the locker room.
In. Which I thought.
But hold on. I'm gonna ask you this. We went through this last year. Otamendi's hurt, Kenny. Does Morato stick with the starting role with Tony, and Otamendi has to get it back?
No chance.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that play out last season. I think Schmidt
captain.
Not
your captain, not your leader, not your heart and soul.
If Morato's playing the way Tony was playing, pulling you through games, I don't care if you're captain or not.
It also depends if it's an injury,
and
like
you're also phasing him out.
If it's an injury like a game injury or 2 game max. No, if it's 2 months and
I'm saying right now to start the season, he hasn't played any preseason games, right? He's got a knock. He's recovering from an injury, right? So I don't know when he's going to be back. He's not going to play the Supertaça most likely.
Yeah, but preseason is preseason. I'm talking about if Morato starts now the games of Valer, the games like that count. It's Supertaça
plus plays a month.
3-4 games into the season he plays, and you can tell he's like fucking taking the lead.
Does Otamendi come right back in, or does he stay?
I have a hard time. I would agree. I think you would have to earn his place back. Like I said last year about Morato, he has to earn his place back because Antonio Silva was playing out of his mind. So at that time, and I know Otamendi probably thinks the same thing. Like, listen, I'm 30, whatever he is, 34, 35 years old. These guys I have the garra. So, and then I think he understands. If these guys are playing out of their mind, what is he going to do? I mean, Luizão did it. Luizão's our captain.
I don't know. Being interesting.
Dude, I was
on the opposite side.
That's why I asked.
I think it's 2 different. I think it's like looking at it, Morato being out, Tony coming in. I think it's very different than Otamendi being the one out and then one he's fit coming back. I think it's very
But again,
different.
right? Like we've all learned, right? You never touch your back line unless you have to, right? And again, the likelihood of Otamendi and Tony Silva playing in the Supertaça is like 99% sure, right? Because again, it's coming quick. Otamendi's not fit. He hasn't played, right? So it doesn't make any sense to force him in, right? So if he starts training, he's training already, but if he maybe gets some minutes tomorrow, he doesn't play the Supertaça, right? Then you got Boavista, right? I mean, you got a Feyenoord game also in between, but right? Like again, if he plays 1 or 2 games, right, they're solid, right? They're playing well. They've played well in the preseason. They had a couple of mishaps against Al Nassr the other day where they looked like they were just all over the place. Looked like they didn't know what the hell was going on. But again, that's what the preseason's for, right? Like I agree. Like it's tough to be like, all right, well, thanks for your efforts. We're gonna pull you out, and we're gonna.
But then again, but you have to think we have 2 center backs that one is 19 or 20, and the other one is 22. That's no experience whatsoever. Now, if they're killing it, but then again, we had that with Ruben Diaz and Ferro, right? 2 young guys, and then all of a sudden they had a bad result, and you saw what happened. Like they shit the bed, they couldn't figure it out. So maybe the liderança of Otamendi in that center back prevents that from happening. And maybe that's where Otamendi comes in and is crucial for this team. But like you said, like if Morato and Antonio Silva start off fucking on fire until somebody messes up,
it's a good headache to have. That's for sure. Joaquin says, and I'm gonna debunk this. Joaquin says any player that comes from Flamengo is a quality player. They have one of the most qualified development academies. There was this one guy. Actually, I don't know if he came from Flamengo though. I was gonna say Gabigol, but I don't know if he came from Inter. But is he a product of Flamengo's youth academy? Joaquin can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But
who was the kid that went to Barca and the kid was loaned to Benfica and the forward? What was his name?
Who?
I think he was from. There was this like. This was years ago, dude.
No, he says he's from Santos. Okay.
Was it Alan Kardec?
Kardec?
It might have been.
He scored a goal against
Kardec was Palmeiras, I think.
No, I think was it was another, okay. It was another. I think I know who you're talking about. A younger guy.
He was super young when he went to Barca. And then
he
Barca
came to Benfica?
Harrison. That's who it was. Yeah.
He wasn't Palmeiras. He wasn't. I think he was Palmeiras too, if I'm not mistaken. Joaquin can confirm, but I'm almost positive. I thought he was on a green team. Maybe Palmeiras.
He was supposed to like a stud. Came to Barca, didn't do shit. Yeah. Came to Benfica, didn't do shit.
Yeah, I saw him play against Revolution. He scored. I was at the game.
SLBSC says, "Who's our 4th center back? Tomás Araújo or João Vitor?" I would say the hierarchy is Otamendi, Tony, Morato, Tomás Araújo.
Yeah,
and then João Vitor. I would assume that would be the case.
I think João Vitor's the primary right back. Yeah,
I think so. But again, I could be wrong. Like, I think but I think him staying. I think João Vitor staying is good for him because it gives him the ability to be able to play that center back position more frequently, as long as we don't need a right back, opposed to if he was just being loaned out. And Benfica spent a lot of money on him. So
yeah, personally, I flip the other two.
So you think you agree with Jay and think João Vitor's 4th and Araújo's 5th?
I think so. And Vitor, like you said, has the ability to flow. He'll float between what's needed.
Okay. Oscar, you agree?
I agree. I think João Vitor's 4th CB and then a backup for the right back.
He says he was at Palmeiras, came out of Curitiba. He sucked. He was like A-Rod Carvalho playing soccer. All bells and whistles. Holy shit, I got to clip this.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that was good.
I have a hot take. As to me personally, I think Lucas Verissimo and Morato as a pair of center backs, to me, are probably just as good as Otamendi and Antonio Silva.
If we had Lucas Verissimo pre-injury,
like,
and I think that's why this loan is going to be important for him, because I think we had talked about it on our group chat, right? Like him coming off that injury, he needs to play, right? To be able to see like what's his fitness level, how's his knee going to hold up, and him staying at Benfica to be 3rd, 4th, 5th option, like isn't going to do him well. So I think him going to Corinthians, playing more regularly, I think will at least give him a gauge, right? He's on loan, right? We can get him back.
So I saw loan with the requirement to buy, or was it an option to buy?
I saw an option, but I think one of the things that I saw is also it like wipes out a $1 million bonus that we were supposed to give them for João Vitor based on objectives and stuff. So from what I saw is an option to buy, but I know that there's some some triggers in there that Benfica can get money off of. So I don't know what that looks like. But again, at least it gives him the ability to understand where he falls, right? Like, do I still have that form there, or like, am I not going to be able to compete at that level? Jay says, Lucas recently was nasty, needs to get back to the level. Let's hope. Knee injuries are tough. Great for you guys to get rid of Gilberto. He has the heart, but not enough talent for playing in a club like Benfica. I agree. We went back and forth on him in the last 2 years. Tons of fight. He's one of those players that you can count on, but he's not like, he doesn't give you like that extra, right? Like offensively, he's just slow. But again, let me ask you guys this: Would you prefer Gilberto or João Vitor at right back as a backup?
I would say João Vitor, because if he makes a mistake, he has the pace to fucking get back and at least try to
Kyle Walker
make up. Dude, exactly. I was just about to say Kyle Walker. Like, for years, he he's not the best on the ball, but he has the pace to fucking, if he messes up, he can get back and recover.
I disagree. I think Gilberto has proven himself to be a solid backup in the last 2 years. 1 year he was a starter and played most of the season, right? And he didn't let us down. If anything, he was voted to be one of the best players in Benfica that year, right? And then last year, not playing all season, but legit playing every 3 months or whenever Ba got a rest. Obviously being off form because he's not playing on a real game. He still gave us 3 huge points against Boavista, which basically helped us win the Campeonato. So he was a solid backup. I know in some of the games he looked rusty, but you can't say that about João Vitor because you haven't seen him. You really saw him in preseason 2 games.
Yeah, pace is pace. Like, you're going to be fast in preseason, and you're going to be fast in the regular season.
You can't teach pace. Jay said A-Rod's watching. He's trying to think of a comeback. Let me see what else I had here. Quickly, just to get your thoughts. We won't be back next week because there won't be enough changes between now and then unless something drastic happens. But give me your 60 seconds on how you feel going into the Supertaça with Porto.
Before we do that, can we talk on the goalie situation? Because I've seen some comments, and from what I've seen too, right? Benfica seems to be hard pressed on this Bintu player from I forget where he's from.
Atlético Paranaense.
Yeah.
They already said no though.
Yeah, until January, right? Until the end of their season.
Yeah, but to spend 10 million on a goalkeeper to come in January, I think is useless.
Yeah, but we seem to be hard pressed on him, or at least getting a fill in. I don't know if there's any other name out there, but how do we feel? How do you guys feel about the situation? You guys know my opinion on Audi. I love Audi. I think he's great for Benfica, and I'm comfortable, right? I'm not afraid going into the season with Audi and net.
I agree.
But we have 2 20-year-olds, not even 20-year-olds backing him up.
Samu and Kukubu.
Samu even 20? I think Samu's still
Samu's 21.
18 or 19.
Samu just turned 21. Transfer Market has André Gomes listed as the 3rd goalie, but he's hurt. Kukubu, I think, is 20.
Feel about that?
I'll share my opinion, and again, I'm not going to deviate from what I've said in the past. I like Odysseus. I think in between the sticks, he's very good. I still think that he lacks the ability or the confidence coming outside of the sticks. And I know we've talked about he's saved breakaways, right? And that's not what I'm talking about. One-on-ones and controlling the space in between you and your backline are 2 different things, right? And controlling your backline, occupying that space to make that pass over the top more difficult, right? Having that confidence, and he's just not that type of goalie. He's not a Mateus from Braga, right? That's comfortable with his feet, that's comfortable coming off his line, and comfortable meeting that ball to make that pass over the top more difficult, right? That's just the reality of it, right? We can't expect that from him because that's not who he is, right? So for who he is, I like him. Right, a lot of people say he's good enough for the Portuguese league, but he's maybe not. He comes up a little bit short in the Champions League. I could argue against that too, right? He's had some incredible performances in Champions League, right? I mean, I could think against Bayern, against Barcelona, This past year, he's had a couple big saves in some of the games, right? So like, it's in the moment, right? Again, between the sticks, right? Those are the things. That's his strength for me. Now, if we want to play out of the back, play to his feet, try to pick passes, can he pick a pass now and then? Yes, right? Is he? What the hell's the guy from Porto's name?
Costa.
Diogo Costa.
Is he a Diogo Costa that's going to be able to play a fucking 70-yard ball? No, right? But that's not who he is, right? So, for what we have, would I like to see someone else come in? If we're going to spend money on a goalie, for me, it has to be a starter. It has to be someone that's better than him.
If you're spending 10 mil on a goalie,
correct.
He's got to be
to go get a goalie, in my opinion, it has to be him. If we're going to spend money on a goalie to be on the bench, I think it's pointless. I'd much rather just have a Samu there, right? Like, he seems to have good characteristics. Give him an opportunity to learn from someone and let him come up, right? We talk about the youth, right? Let's bring up our youth. Then let's do it, right? We could run into the situation where Odysseus gets hurt and now we're fucked, right? Now we have to panic, right? But those are risks that you have to take, right? And I think that will, sometimes when you get thrown into the fire, you get a good outcome, right? We had a situation where Svilad 4 or 5 years ago got thrown into the fire against Manchester United and he backed into the goal with the ball in his hands, right?
Those are just good all game.
My opinion, long story short, is if we're going to buy a goalie, it has to be an out and out starter, absolute starter. If we're going to go buy a goalie to be a bench player, I would much rather stick with Samu.
My opinion about Adi, this is very simple, is he has to get better on saving penalty kicks. Other than that, I'm totally
how many goalies are good at saving penalty kicks?
Yeah, but a lot of
we
goalies,
looked this up. Like the best goalies at saving penalty kicks percentage-wise was like Oblak and someone else, and it was like 17%.
And Audi saved it against Mbappe, right? On this in the World Cup qualifiers, and then he had to retake it.
And he saved one for us against Bayern in the Champions League. I don't know if it was
like
5
years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, but other than that, like I think Audi is fine. I have no problems whatsoever with what Audi has been doing. I think he's been phenomenal. If we like talking about the World Cup, if we had Audi in our net against Morocco, we probably wouldn't concede that goal. And that's coming off the post.
Bill, agree?
No, I agree. I think if we're going to spend the money to go get a backup, I think it's pointless, right? Like Samu he's 21. Like he's not a 17-year-old kid, right? Like a 20-year-old kid is more than capable. And from what we've seen in the preseason, he looks decent, right? Like he's more than capable of being a backup and filling in for the Taça da Liga games and the occasional Taça Portugal games. And especially at Benfica, where we constantly are saying, youth, bring up the youth, give him a chance. Give the kid a chance, let him ride. He's going to be a bench player, right? Like, unless something drastic happens to Odin and he gets hurt, he's a bench player. But if I agree with your take, if we're going to spend money and buy a goalie, it needs to be a starter. Like to buy someone to be a backup goalie, it's pointless. You have the youth for system for a reason, right? And in certain spots, you can bring up guys like this and let him be a backup.
And to be honest with you, I think our best goalkeepers that came out of the youth, like Ederson came out of our youth, Oblak came out of our youth. We gave guys a chance to prove themselves coming from the youth, and they became the best goalkeepers.
In fairness, those guys went out on loan and got some experience.
Right. But they came from our youth.
Ironically, I don't know if you guys remember, but I can't remember which one in which order. Either Oblak replaced Ederson or Ederson replaced Oblak at Rio. One of them got hurt, and he basically came in for him. Just a tidbit of information in case you guys don't remember that.
And I think Joaquin brought up a good point. Allison this year, and he's voted to be one of the best goalkeepers in the world, if not the best goalkeeper in the world. How many mistakes did he do with his feet?
I mean, Real Madrid game.
Yeah, insane, right? And he's supposed to be the best goalkeeper in the world. But if Audi messes up one pass, he sucks it in his feet. Like the best goalkeepers in the world mess up, and like it's a thing that it's a mistake that player, especially in that position, can make.
Yeah, Jay says Audi doesn't scare you guys on crosses. He struggles at times. He definitely scares me on crosses.
He used to be more in the past than he does now. I think he's
correct. He's definitely gotten better. 100%. Kenny, do you agree with all these opinions? I see you shaking your head. Are you disappointed in our takes, or
No.
You've been Audie's biggest protector.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree with what you guys are saying. I actually really agree with Joaquin, with Coach's explanation there. I'd rather have a goalie that's going to defend than play with his feet. If I need a 70-yard ball, I have 4 fucking defenders in front of me that can throw a 70-yard ball in front of me. I want a goalie that I know one-on-one, breakaway, he's got a chance at defending it, right? And I really feel comfortable that Odie, in my opinion, over the last 2 years specifically, I feel like my visuals of him is him like making unbelievable, like almost like hockey style like saves on like from tight angles, every type of different angle. Like he just gets a foot on it, a hand on it. He just knows how to cut down the angle to make a save. And for me, that's a difference between 3 points or getting to the next phase or whatever that is. Yep. And over the last 2 years, I feel like I've seen more of that. Now, of course, I agree with you. I mean, he's not the greatest with his feet, putting those balls, but I don't really care for a goalie. I much rather have the defender than the guy that can kick a ball 70 yards.
It's almost like saying Grimaldo or Boss sucks because he doesn't score goals. His job is to defend, not to score goals, right? So like it's like the goalie's job is to defend, save. That's why he has gloves on, right? And the feet is a secondary. That's a bonus. Like if he's good, like Ederson is great with his feet. Can put out a ball 90 yards down the field just for a breakaway.
But even Ederson's had his.
I know
he's had blunders.
100%. But he's got that potential. They can use his feet to put a long ball for a breakaway, right? But that's a bonus that he has. That's a bonus. That's not what is not basically his job. His job is to sit there, the gloves on, and defend.
Yeah, there aren't many keepers in the world that you're gonna trust to have the ball at their feet constantly, right? And trust that they're going to pick out the right pass and put it like dead on the defender forward's foot. Like there's not many. And, occasionally, even the best ones occasionally are going to have blunders. But I agree. I think with the keeper, I would prefer to have someone that's going to stop the ball rather than someone that can play a 70-yard pass.
Yeah. Jay, just to give you some content here, I'm just looking at all these penalties and saved ones. So he's got 56.
Is he serious about getting to Jay? Please stop.
Yeah, way too much money. His salary would be crazy.
And I think he's worse than Audi.
Penalty saved, he saved 9. He saved against Mbappe, like Oscar said. He saved 2 years ago against Aroca away. We won 2-0. He saved one against Lewandowski when we lost 5-2 away to Bayern Munich. And he saved a few others in the Portuguese league. So for Benfica, he saved 1, 2, 3, 4 out of his 9. And he's conceded 56, which again isn't, but again, like the goalie's percentage is extremely low. So I think it's tough and unfair to judge a goalkeeper on his penalty saving efficiency. I think you're basically grasping straws at that point.
I just Googled it. A keeper save percentage, the average keeper save percentage in the world is 11%.
Yeah.
85% is a goal, and then the other 4% is they missed the net completely.
Yeah. Vespa, I wanted to go back to Vespa's comment. He said Ederson replaced Julius Cesar. Eu estava a falar do Ederson e o Black no Rio Ave, não no Ederson no Benfica. He says we don't need a better goalkeeper. We need João Felix, Rafa, and Di Maria together. Quickly, 60 seconds. Kenny, would you take João Felix back?
Yeah, I'd take João Felix back.
Do you think he would fit?
I mean, we have a lot of players like for that position, but I mean,
with the assumption if he came, someone would move, right? Obviously, someone's departing for him to come in. So do you? But do you think he would fit in? And
style
would you like
wise,
to see him?
play what? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think he would. I think he would, and I think hopefully he would get back into like the form that maybe not the same form, but at somewhat of a semblance of what he used to be. And I think being at Benfica could bring that out of him. I think it would be even a big talk track, not talk track, but like a big another big signing for Benfica, some pull in like the world of soccer. Having Di Maria and now João Felix, like some big names on the team, some potential to really score some goals. Like I wouldn't be afraid of like scoring goals this season. That's for sure.
Fair, Oscar. I know Oscar's been a realist. Fuck no, he says you wouldn't want him back. Jay's gonna bombard you.
No, this is what I'll tell you about João Felix. I've seen enough.
But you want Geddes back though.
No, I want Geddes back because Geddes hustles. Okay, he hustled through an injury against Sporting. I don't care about his talent, which he has, but he hustles. That's to me is the most important thing when it comes to Benfica play. I want them to have a garra. João Felix is shown the last 2 years that he's a bitch, a whiny little fucking kid that thinks he's.
I hope he's not watching.
That's fine. I don't give a shit. I'd rather.
I hope he is watching. Actually,
these opinions are only Oscars.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Like I think he's shown his true colors. I think the fame has gone to his head. The kid thinks he's a Messi when he's like 23 years old. He's not a Messi. He's not a Ronaldo. He walks around the field like he's wearing a crown on his head, and everybody has to play for him. No, Ronaldo at that age was hustling up and down the field. Getting fouled and getting up and going back again. João Felix is a prima donna, and I would not want him at Benfica. He will absolutely destroy our locker room.
I just want to ask you something. So you don't think a player can like be humbled and like come back home and like change a little bit and maybe.
He plays in the Seleção Portugal. He walks. Wouldn't that be the time to show that he can have some garra? No, at Benfica, you'd be doing. Look, Di Maria is coming back at 35, and you see him hustling. João Felix is not the type of player. Right now, you just walk around the front line, and the ball comes to him going forward. He'll do a little fancy trick and shoot the ball, and then complain because somebody doesn't pass it to him. Like that to me, he's already at here, and he should be way down here at his age.
Man, tell him how you feel, Oscar. Bill,
no, it's a fact. And I the other day, right? When first of all, the interview you gave about wanting to join Barcelona to me is like, what a fucking.
I think that's
it's fine.
An agent job.
And the agent can be at fault, but he said it. So him saying it, it's like him thinking it. And I don't give a shit if some agents say, "Hey, do this," and then they'll let you off like faster. Fuck that. You're basically you're like. Your persona, you're like your name is on the line when you do this kind of shit. And right now, every club is looking at you like you're a piece of shit.
Okay, Bill, do you agree with Kenny? Or do you agree with Oscar?
I can agree with Oscar's like the way he handles himself on the field and off the field now with his fucking Barca comments. But from a player and the potential he has, it's so tempting, right? And especially taking out the whole coming back to Benfica, right? Like that I feel like that for like any one of our players that is left makes it enticing just because we're bringing back one of our guys. But I think he has so much talent that if he was to straighten out and get his head on straight, that he could blow up again. And it's enticing. I would do it. I would if it's like because there was rumors around where it was like a loan with the requirement to buy for 40 million. Like I wouldn't do something like that. I would do a loan deal to bring him back for the year. 100%.
But remember this. We have to move somebody, right? With João Felix coming back for a loan a year, we have to move somebody permanently. Right? Because we're not going to be like, hey, Rafa, he's coming here for a year. You have to go for a year and come back next year. No, you would have to sell Rafa. You have to sell a João Mário. You have to sell somebody that, or if in this case, if Ramos does end up going, then João Felix could be the replacement. That's fine. But somebody has to go permanently, and that's be one of the top guys.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
So in that case,
I also I think we talked about it in the group chat. Like I think. If this is to happen, I think it's one of those things where it's, again, 11th hour. Like this is, Atletico Madrid has no other options. No one else wants him. He's not going anywhere else because they clearly don't want him in the locker room. Then they're going to try to offload him somewhere. And at that point, we might have sold Ramos. Someone might have gone where we have the room to make the deal. And because I don't think this is something that's going to happen in the middle of the transfer window. This is going to be something, if it happens, him coming back, it's going to be right at the end.
And another, I'm reading the comments from Vespa, Eliseo, and Valdan, whatever. But so basically, do you guys think he went to Chelsea, which is a top team in Europe, even though they sucked this year, right? But still a top team in the Premier League, and he still had the same antics. Like Lampard had to bench him because he wasn't hustling. Right, so the same antics. So like, there's a pattern here. It's not like just Simeone doesn't like the way the Atletico Madrid plays. So Diego Simeone is not a good coach for him. Blah 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 blah. He went to play with two different coaches in Chelsea, and he still had the same issue. So is this a João Felix problem? Was this a coach problem? Was this a team he plays for problem? A Portugal team, national team, 2 coaches so far, and he can't get a starting 11, and he's worth $127 million. Like what is the problem? Is it all the coaches that suck, or is it João Felix has a problem?
So can I bring something up? Maybe I don't have like the best example, right? But one thing that and I don't have the same type of memory and like I don't remember games like Oscar. But like if I'm not mistaken, and don't laugh at me if this is a terrible example, but Quaresma, right? Quaresma had, I think, a similar, maybe up to this point, maybe a similar career path where like he kind of blew up, then he kind of tempered down, like lost his touch, prima donna, diva, blah, blah, blah. Came back to Porto and probably had like a career year, won him a title, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I just feel like coming back to your roots, it humbles you a bit and it might like bring it back out of you. And I think after that, like he went on to Besiktas and had like a terrific career there. So I just feel like, maybe not the best example, but I just feel like there's something to like coming back home and like grounding yourself again, resetting, whatever it takes, and trying to kick off your career.
But my problem with that, like Quaresma came back as a permanent deal. All right, he came back to not on a loan for a year and then to restart his career. Right, that's different. Like he's coming back to actually play for a spot, and because that's his home for going forward for the future. João Felix will be coming for 1 year. To restart his career, to go on to somebody else, to back to Atletico Madrid. I don't think that's enough.
But he knows he's not going. I see what you're saying, right? But like, we said this in the WhatsApp group, right? Like, I think, in my opinion, I think Felix needs a move to Benfica more than Benfica needs Felix at Benfica, right? And like Kenny says, right? Like, I think going back to his roots might bring that passion back out of him, right? Like, I agree with you, Oscar, in terms of like he looks like a mopey little child, just like things are going my way, right? Throwing things in practice, right? Like, I get that, right? Like, and again, it's unfortunately it's the world we live in with these young players getting shit tons of money, right? He played for 6 months and got 127 million transfer fee, right? All of that starts to play into your head, and you're like, "Fuck, I'm on top of the world," right? Like, I got, people all over me. My girlfriend's a supermodel, right? Like. Just wait, she's not a supermodel anymore?
No, she's still a supermodel, not his girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend. So, right, like all of that kind of plays into your head, right? And then things didn't turn out so well for him at Atletico Madrid, right? Things start to struggle. We all, I think, agreed that the mold that Simeone wanted to play didn't really fit João Felix's style. Yes, he went to Chelsea. I would honestly throw out the Chelsea situation because he's in a tough environment. They had shit tons of players. It was an absolute shit show over there, right? Like, I mean, even Enzo didn't look as good as he did at Benfica as he did at Chelsea, right? Like, so I think it's an unfair way to judge him off of, right? Again, I think some of his antics still carried over.
What do you say about Portugal team?
Portugal, I think, is an incognito, right? Because again, it's a locker room that you're in, every 2-3 months, right? Again, we've all talked about it, right? Like,
all we're doing here is throwing excuses. Like, that's all we're doing.
What I'm getting at
what's next excuse? The next club he goes to and he sucks again. That coach doesn't like him because he's Portuguese.
What I'm getting at is, I think that a move back to Benfica, and I get it's not a permanent deal, but like, he has roots there, right? So he doesn't have. There's no interest for him to maybe be like, you know, and not to say that he wasn't trying, but like a Draxler, right? Like where he doesn't have a connection there, right? Like if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, I go back to where I came from, right? Like I think João Felix knows that if he goes somewhere on loan, his goal is to light shit up so someone has interest in him that can take him away from Atleti.
Yeah,
like he
his
doesn't want to
opportunity
go
was
there.
at Chelsea. He should have done that in the last season. Why did he still walk around the field?
But look at the situation that he was played into. Like it was a shit situation.
What stops him from hustling? Nothing.
I get that. Like, and I'm not disagreeing with you, right? Like he comes across as like a mopey little child in the field at times. But again, like I think that's where going back to his roots could potentially kickstart that fire again for him. Like I'm in a winning team. It's a lesser league, right? In respect to the Premier League, right? So there's maybe less pressure, right? Not less pressure in the sense of the club that he's at. But I think it would be a different opportunity for him to say, hold on a second. Like, let me get my shit back. I'm in a team. I'm in an environment that I know. I'm back home, right? I'm in my country, right? My family's all here, right? Like, let me sort this shit out. If he was to come back and he didn't figure it out, then I agree. Like, he's probably one of the top 3 flops in world soccer.
Yeah. No, but
he doesn't want like the Benfica fan. Like he wants the Benfica fans behind him, right? So if he comes there and he pulls out that same bullshit, non-hustling, throwing his kulit, getting upset, disturbing the locker room, he's gonna go from like the one of the favorite Benfica players of all time to a public enemy number 1. He doesn't want that. I think, like Mike said, it's gonna motivate him more to get his shit together.
Nick makes a good comment here, right? Being on a good team with high ambition is contagious. The rest of the team is hustling. I think he'll naturally hustle as well.
You're going to win.
The environment at Chelsea, the reports that came out with Graham Potter and the players going to Todd Bowley and all like players changing in the fucking hallway because they had so many players on their like, I can just imagine that, like, you know, that the environment at Chelsea in the locker room was toxic. Terrible. So I get, like, he doesn't stop him from running. But again, the environment that he's in was, of all the environments he could have gone to that he needed, was probably the one he shouldn't have gone to.
And Bill's here in the United States, and he fucking dropped him like nothing and went to Wrexham. Like this guy, he wanted nothing to do with that
Wrexham till I die.
Legit.
Nothing with that toxicity. He's all the way here in the U.S.
Listen, I was a true believer in João. I thought he was the next Ronaldo for the Seleção. I thought he was going to be and he probably still will be. But his attitude absolutely has to change. He has to think like he's not a prima donna. He has to think that I'm 23. I have a lot to prove. I haven't won shit, and I have to work hard for what I want. He has to look at the likes of Ronaldo, what he went through at 23. He was running up and down at Manchester United. And I'm telling you, Ronaldo at that age is a player I want when my team is struggling, right? I don't want João Felix to come to my team when they're struggling because he's a guy that's going to mope around and just not like you know what I mean? Like you need a player that comes in and lifts our spirits and kind of pushes us back up. João is proven not to be that. If it's a winning team, I'm good. If it's a bad team, I'm bad. Like that's what João Felix is showing me, and he has a lot to work on in order to change my mind.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of players like that, right? Like there's players that are really good when shit's going well, and when it's not going well, they don't have that mental capacity to be able to grab the team and say, fuck it, let's go, right? And unfortunately, there's just players that are like that. We could name probably a bunch of players that in various sports, right? Like when shit's flying, they're flying high, right? When shit's not going so well, they kind of fall into the shadows, and it's like, well, where did that guy go, right? Like, I mean, I'm going to throw an obvious one out there. Rafa. Like, for me, when shit's flying high, like, he's fucking up there, crushing it, right? When things aren't going so well, right? Like, he struggles to, like, get into the game. He struggles to grab hold of the game. That's just, some players don't have that mental strength.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, when it comes to Rafa, like, I thought the same exact thing about Rafa. Like, okay, when things are going well, he's superstar, right? And then when they're not, he's quiet. He hides out from the game. Last year, he scored 2 important goals, 6 points against Braga against Porto, where we were struggling, and he basically gave us those 6 points. He scored those goals.
He also went like 5 months without scoring in the.
That's fine, and that's fine. But we were winning.
Correct.
We were winning, so it's not like we're flying high and he's super
Well, we also
high.
went through a lull. I mean, in that month of January, right, we were struggling, right, and like he hadn't scored from like October till like March. in the Portuguese league. So it was a significant drop. Not for nothing, but who spends 126 million on an 18-year-old that had 6 months on the A team? Atletico caused all this trouble for themselves. I think that was a incredible sales tactic from Jorge Mendes and Luis Felipe Vieira. Like I don't think there's any other explanation for that 6 months. But then again, I mean, he's not 18 years old, but Chelsea just paid 120 million for a 21-year-old. Granted, he's a different type of player, and he did it on the World Cup stage. Correct, but he was at Benfica for like 4.5 months, not even 6 months. But I mean, when you got the money and you got the loan sharks behind you to make those payments for you, then you make it happen. I just want to quickly finish off here. Since Kenny and Oscar are the ones with the most life-changing events in the last 6 months, it's going to be Kenny versus Oscar. We're going to do
what's my life-changing event?
Your engagement. You forgot already? Good thing Julia's not watching.
I'm engaged.
She might be watching.
Julia, if you're watching, he did that on purpose. We're going to do an immaculate grid. So you got a grid. It's tic-tac-toe. The grid has already been generated. It was the system generates it, so I didn't generate it. Bill, who do you want to go first?
Kenny.
Just pretend.
So
penalty kicks. Who do you want to step up to the box?
I'm going to say...
Kenny's not in my top 10.
I'm going to shut off the comments so they can't have the comments. So, all right, I'm going to bring it up on the screen. Kenny's going to go first. And basically, you have to pick a player that aligns with the team and the nation. All right? Everyone understand?
I have to pick... So you're going to...
So there's countries across the top. There's teams across the left. And you need to pick players that align in those requirements.
Is from that country that has played for that team.
Played on that team, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it?
And you're trying to win tic-tac-toe, right? Essentially?
Yes.
You make this about Benfica, goddammit.
There you go. So you could pick anyone you want, Kenny.
What if I don't know? So I got to name a player that played at Inter,
a Portuguese, exactly.
Yeah, Portuguese that played at Inter or Uruguayan that played at one of those teams.
And they all have Benfica in common?
No. This is just open, not specific to Benfica. Benfica just happened to be on the grid.
Okay. All right. So that's Argentina.
Uruguay. Off to a good start.
Uruguay? Oh, Uruguay. Okay. That was gonna be hard. All right, so I'll go João Mario.
For
Inter and Portuguese.
So you want to put him in the Inter quadrant?
Yes.
All right, Oscar.
Shit. I have to block him over here. God damn it, fucking asshole. I didn't want you there.
You got 15 seconds.
This could be a complete fail.
All right, I'm gonna do Alisson, Liverpool, Brazil.
Can't find
Becker.
It
might want the full.
Is it 1-0? Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Okay. Kenny?
Jota, Portuguese, Liverpool.
Oh, Kenny's close. Oscar, you got to block him.
All right, I'm gonna do Gonçalo Ramos, Benfica, Portugal.
They don't want nothing to do with that middle column.
I'm trying to think, and I can't even
this.
Dude, I could have go to the middle column, but if I did, he would have beat me.
I will go.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know Inter that well. Was
Nossa Senhora, dude.
I'm gonna start the timer.
Was Emerson Brazil Inter?
He's Italian.
Emerson's your pick.
Emerson.
Emerson's your pick.
Yeah, I'm trying to fill that squad up.
What the fuck is this?
You got Emerson for Benfica. Lucky. I shouldn't hit enter.
Dude, that's not even a choice. He never played for Brazil.
Emerson, left back. It
He's
doesn't
Brazilian.
mean he played for Brazil. He's Brazilian.
Oh, the fuck.
Oh, you got to block him now, Kenny. Oscar.
Oscar
Oh,
can
no,
win.
you got
I got Gonzalo
Ramos.
Ramos.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
so this is stupid. Nobody's gonna win.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, if you don't get someone,
Unless you get all three down the middle.
Yeah.
The Uruguayan one.
I'm gonna.
All right,
start the
I'm
timer.
going for Oscar Cardozo.
he's
Oh my god,
He's
dude! You are an
Paraguayan.
idiot. He's from Paraguay.
So you
Oh,
lost
Uruguay.
that.
No, then
No,
Rodrigo.
that's,
Nossa senhora, dude.
that's
Cibola,
your
Cibola.
guess. No, that's your guess. Kenny,
No,
you're
dude,
on the
what the
clock.
hell? No, dude, I
What do you
messed
mean?
up.
No, you messed up. Yeah, that's a bad guess.
I picked shots and I picked Romario and I picked that. Oh my god, I can't even win. I'm gonna
But there's
go
an obvious one. What is going
I
on?
can't
with you?
Jesus Christ, guys.
Uruguay. Who the
For those
fuck's
of you who are listening and not watching, the quadrant is Uruguay,
my
Inter,
God.
Benfica, and Liverpool.
Darwin.
Nossa Senhora.
Yeah,
Darwin.
He's there.
I know, but I could have won.
Which one do you want, Liverpool or Benfica?
I want the middle one. So
Benfica.
Benfica, I think's in the middle.
All right.
Kenny, you can
So-
still win.
Oscar, you're
So-
on
So,
the clock.
so, Bra-
I need,
so
I need the Inter.
Maicon from Inter Brazil.
Oh fuck! Yeah, well, no one's gonna win now.
That's fine. Let's see who plays it out. See your ball knowledge. We need
Uh,
Uruguay, Inter, and Uruguay, Liverpool. I know one that from Liverpool. He's in Portugal.
Did Suarez play for Liverpool? Suarez.
Yeah.
Inter.
No,
Inter Uruguay vai ser o Godin.
Who?
Godin, the center back.
Oh, there you go. All right. You guys.
I got
completed.
more,
No
though.
one-
I didn't get
Because
one.
Jesus
I messed up on
Christ.
Oscar Cardozo. I meant to do Cebolinha.
The fact that you guys took so long to say Darwin
Holy shit,
blew my
I
mind.
couldn't think of. I can't believe I couldn't think of Darwin.
Can we see the comments?
Unbelievable.
Turn the comments back on. I want to see everyone roasting these guys.
Let's
Have a
see.
good night, guys. Yeah, great show.
Fucking brutal.
Jay said
Oh my
Darwin. Nick said this game's cool. Rafa was in there. Jean Mario, Recoba, Maicon, Diego Forlan,
Yeah.
Oh, for one, yeah.
Suazo. I forgot about
So-
Suazo.
Suazo, I forgot about him.
Luizão, Maxi Pereira, Liverpool,
My
Raul
defense,
Meireles,
Oscar should've
Maxi
beat me on
Lopez,
I'm terrible
Coutinho.
at this. Yeah, Oscar, I'm
Uh,
disappointed.
Well, as soon as you started off with that one, I hate it. That's the one I would start with.
The Liverpool Uruguay one that I was thinking was Coates.
Yeah.
The what? Liverpool? Oh yeah.
Uruguay, Coates. That's the one I
Uruguay
was
threw me
thinking.
off, dude. Uruguay threw me off. I can't believe I couldn't. I was like, what the fuck?
Good
is
thing we
going
told them it was Uruguay. These guys would have been picking our. The best one is
Well,
Oscar.
we
The
even-
confidence. The
We even told
confidence
them
in
it was
his
Uruguay, and
answer.
this kid's Cardozo.
The I got to go back and clip that. The confidence in his Oscar when he's like, "I'm gonna go Oscar Cardozo."
Yeah, my bad.
And
My
then he's
bad.
like, no, I didn't mean that.
I messed up. I got another pick.
No, it was Cebolinha that I wanted.
Oh
It's so
my
funny
God,
that
was good.
you don't have a picture for Emerson, and that was a complete guess. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not. This is a
No,
website. that
Emerson,
creates
the left
this
back. You don't know him?
So
Yeah,
I
but-
was thinking Emerson. So there was an Emerson for which wasn't there an Emerson?
Dude, you could have done Ederson, the goalkeeper, asshole.
Yeah.
We've had so many Brazilians.
Julius
John
Cesar,
Mendes, Julius Cesar, Luizão,
Luizão.
Neres.
No, but I wasn't trying. The thing is, I wasn't trying to fill that block. I was trying to fill the top right.
He was, yeah, he
Oh,
was trying to
for
go for
Inter.
Inter.
Inter Brazil. Ronaldo.
Yeah,
R9.
Ronaldo,
Yep,
the phenomenal.
Wasn't the Puma-
Adriano was there.
Played into-
The Adriano.
Julius
the-
Cesar.
Wait.
Julius
didn't-
Cesar fits there.
Yeah, Adriano.
Yeah.
Who were you asking about, Kenny?
Emerson, the Puma. A-Rod would know. Didn't he play at Inter?
He was at Roma.
Emerson Ferreira. Yeah, Emerson played at. Hold on, I might have to.
He's doing. Hold on, we're going to far.
Roma. No. He
Roma,
played at
yeah.
Roma,
I don't-
Juventus,
yeah.
Milan.
The funny thing
Bill,
is,
what's the VAR decision?
No, he's right. He didn't play it. He played. No, wait. He played at AC Milan or Inter Milan. Wait.
No, he
AC
definitely
Milan,
didn't.
no.
Yeah, he didn't play.
After all the Brazilians that came through Benfica, he chose Emerson.
I was thinking Inter. I'm not going for Benfica. I'm going Inter.
I just wish I saw Jay's reaction as he was listening to these two spit names out there. Unbelievable.
That was bad.
It's a lot difficult when you're on the clock, though.
That was fun. We'll do it again next week, or when we get back. Gentlemen, it's always a pleasure. I know we ran out a little bit over. We had tons of interaction, which was good and made us go a little bit later. Again, as always, don't forget to check us out on social media. Help us get those numbers up. Hit the like button, hit the share button, follow, subscribe. Again, unless something drastic happens, we probably won't be back until after the Supertaça. I'll be on vacation. I'll be in Portugal next week. Friday, I fly out. I'll be there for 3 weeks. So we'll either be here next week or we'll be back in September, unfortunately, because my Wi-Fi connection in the mountains won't be very good to be able to host a podcast. But if we don't see,
don't go on any ellipticals and Jay.
Yeah, get injured. Yeah, I know. Can we? You know what? I want to end.
Sign off with it.
You need some music behind it or something.
Just to get us. You want some music behind it? Oh, let me see what we got here.
Let's put the Titanic sinking.
No.
The Titanic sinking.
I don't have that song here, but let me see what's already preloaded in here. Let's see what's this. Acoustic cinematic.
Oh,
sounds like Chinese restaurant music. All right.
That might do.
Yeah, this might
As
do.
he falls.
With slow motion.
I can't make it in slow motion.
He didn't even have it once.
Let's go one more time. One more time for good old sake.
Jay,
the question is, did he get back on? Do you get back up and get back on?
No.
Right before, hey, we have something to basically kind of go to VAR on this. Jay, did you do the noise like the? Or was
No,
that your
that
girlfriend?
was his girlfriend. That
No,
was
I
the-
want Jay to answer this. I think he did it. I think it's him crying when he goes backwards.
I can't get enough of this video. It's amazing.
I think he's the one.
The best part is Kenny's dad. Kenny's dad's like, yo, check me out. Jay, tu que estás a fazer, Jason? Jason, queres ver? Oh, rapaz do caralho. Oh, it was his mom. His mom's the one that made the noise. I knew it wasn't him. Emilia was worried for her son. Look at
Dude, his dad in the back is just cruising.
Oh, man. Oh, man. All right. Good to get a good laugh. Gentlemen, as always, a pleasure. We'll be back soon. Viva Benfica. Thank you for all that tuned in and have a good evening.
Good night,
Good night,
guys.
boys.